Welcome to Inside the Investigation. I'm investigative reporter Matt Grant. My colleague Kelly Wiley is on assignment. Thanks for joining us. I'm joined today with investigative producer David Barrera. David, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You and Kelly have been working on a really informative, great series about truancy, which is chronic absenteeism. Bring our viewers and our listeners up to speed. What is truancy? How is it punished? And how has the state been treating this topic?
Yeah, so truancy is excessive absences. Since 2015, the state has had a different system than previously. Before 2015, there was a criminal penalty for truancy. After 2015, lawmakers decided that the best way to move forward was to switch that from a criminal penalty to a civil system. So now justices of the peace and municipal court judges handle it in civil court. What we found was that the orders that judges can give can run the gamut from relatively simple ones like, we order you to go back to class, don't miss, go to tutorials in the morning or the afternoon. Or the orders can be pretty life-changing. They could be, a student could be ordered to get their GED or go to homeschool, which would effectively end their tenure at the public school they're at.
Can you give us a little bit of a background on your initial investigation and what you both have found so far?
Yeah, so we talked to a lot of experts, judges, parents, teachers, students. What we found was, we also attended truancy court. And so we got a good idea of how kids were, interacting in this system and how it was affecting them. What we saw was that students who were in truancy court, by and large, were facing hardships. Some of them had healthcare issues. Some of them had parents with healthcare issues. There were kids who were fearful of a parent maybe coming to school or interacting with them, and that was causing them to stay home. The way that we looked at this to get data was we went to the Office of Court Administration. They had the best data available to show the number of students that were going into the truancy system. We found that thousands of kids are sent to court every year, and the number has been going up year by year since the pandemic. This year, 2025, is on pace to have the most students since the law was changed in 2015 going into the truancy court system. Throughout this investigation, a problem that we found was that the state lacks tracking. There is not a way to get sort of a global, like all-encompassing view of how students are faring in the truancy system, the types of orders they're getting, and the types of outcomes the state is seeing from the whole truancy system.
And that's so interesting that this isn't being tracked, because you would assume that the outcomes would be. I understand you got some new information from Austin ISD. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to check my notes here. Austin ISD released some truancy data. I want to get the numbers right. They told us that they sent 69 students to truancy court in the 2024-2025 school year, and that's a substantial decrease from the year before when they sent over 360. The school district told us they attributed that to getting feedback from the judges in the courts and using that. They were also using something called a root cause analysis, and they were following a checklist of procedures to help kids before they referred them to court.
And was this information that you got easy to obtain, or did this take a while?
It took a while. It took 9 months. My colleague Kelly Wiley, who actually did most of the work on this report, and she went through the rigmarole to try to get these records. It took 9 months to get them. And that sort of underscores the struggle that we had far beyond Austin ISD to get information showing how this truancy system was working, how many students were going from each district, and just how outcomes were happening for students.
And 9 months for people who don't submit public records requests all the time, is that an unusual amount of time to wait for these records to come back?
It is an unusual amount of time to wait for a state level record request. School districts or any public entity will typically respond within 10 days. They don't have to provide the records within that time. So what happened was there was a lot of communication along the way, but it did take a substantial amount of time.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to tell you about a connection to the Robb Elementary School shooting that surprised us. We'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to Inside the Investigation. I'm investigative reporter Matt Grant. Once again, Kelly Wiley is on assignment, and I'm joined again with David Barrere, our investigative producer. David, so we've been talking about truancy, chronic absenteeism, and I understand that you've been following a number of bills, one by Senator Zaffirini. Can you tell us what's happened with that one?
Yeah, so following our investigation into truancy, Senator Zaffirini, whose home base is in Laredo, but her Senate district stretches up to Austin, filed a bill that would have expanded the amount of information collected by the Office of Court Administration in regards to truancy, and it would have gotten a whole lot of new data points that would have shed a lot more light on what's happening in truancy court. It would have showed how cases are handled, types of judgments against students, remedial orders that are handed down, driver's license suspensions and fines, and more on top of that. The bill stalled in the legislative process, so it's not likely to pass. Senator Zaffarini's office did provide us with a statement, and I'll just read it because it's pretty short. She said, quote, "The consequences of the legislature not creating a uniform truancy tracking system include our remaining in the dark about how truancy cases are handled across Texas and are continuing to lack the tools to evaluate what's working."
I understand, as we mentioned before the break, that there is a Uvalde connection. The Robb Elementary School shooting happened in 2022, and I understand you've been tracking other bills, one by the former mayor of Uvalde. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Don McLaughlin, the former mayor of Uvalde, like you said, he's a state representative now, and he put forward a piece of legislation that would have dealt with truancy. So his bill, I'll get into that first. His bill would have made a few changes. One of them is it would allow a school district to refer a student to truancy court without using preventative measures the second or subsequent time they send them. So right now, a school district would have to use truancy prevention measures every time. Under his bill, they would just need to use it once, and then after that, they could simply refer a student to court for truancy. His bill would have also added a layer of tracking because the Texas Education Agency would be required to collect data showing the number of truancy referrals by districts, and that's not being done right now. You brought up the Uvalde school shooting tragedy. He did bring that up as a point because the student or the shooter in that case had been a Uvalde ISD student and had missed a lot of school, and he felt like there was maybe potentially a missed opportunity there, and that was something that also brought this issue up on his radar.
Going back to if these things could be tracked better. What's the status with that bill?
It has missed key House deadlines and is unlikely to pass.
All right. David, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. Once again, this is Inside the Investigation. I'm investigative reporter Matt Grant for David Barrere. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.